It's really cool. Oh, and we are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Manifesting Monday, Monday Spotlight. I am here with Scott Morris of Reno Computer Services. And I usually Scott, so what I do is I give people some time to join live and I talk to everyone about how I know you and why I want to spotlight you. And you guys can't see right now, but we also have Snowflake here joining us. She's over here roaming around. So let me introduce you. So I know Scott through Bill, his brother Bill, and Bill and I have networked in Reno for a little while now. It's probably been at least for this whole year. And so Bill goes around Reno and spreads the word about your guys' amazing business. And you know that I only spotlight businesses that I believe in. So we have talked somewhat. I talked to Bill and Scott about their services, and I'm all about exclusive first-class service, and these guys have it. And so that's why I'm here spotlighting Scott today. You're welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so we've just been getting to know each other. But what Scott has to offer, those of you who are local and you are in a small business, like we talked about doctors' offices, dentist offices, we talked about lawyers' offices. So that's really your niche market.
It is, but really any small business. IT plays such a big part in a business's life these days, and keeping that secure with all the new crazy hacks and things that are going on. It's a real challenge staying ahead of it, and kind of the days of the do-it-yourself IT are over. It takes too much time, energy, and specific tools to be able to just throw a router in place that you get from Best Buy, and there you go. That's not a recipe for good things.
Even for a one-person operation. So,
Absolutely.
I'm a one-person operation and I'm, fixing things and doing things. I could use that. But for someone who definitely has a team, delegate. Any
That's
successful person knows you delegate, give the task so you can really focus on what you need to focus on. I do also want to mention, I haven't had anybody over here for a while for a spotlight. It's been, international or over national or over the computer. And so if you hear in the background, Bubba, those of you guys who've been following me, you've seen him here breathing and and pushing our arms up. So he's back there chewing on a bone. So those of you who have dogs, you'll hear him in the background cheering us on.
That's right. Occupy the puppy.
Completely. He said, I have something for you, honey. Here you go. This is fun for everyone. So, Scott, thanks again for joining me. And why don't you introduce yourself and give a little background of why you got into this?
Yeah, my name's Scott Morris. I've owned Reno Computer Services for coming up on 11 years now. 2010, I officially started it. 2006 is when I officially bought the RenoComputerServices.com domain. So at that point, it was something that was, in my head. I wanted to do something computer related. I kind of harkened that back to I got my start with computers. It was an incentive from my dad to get good grades in 6th grade. He wanted me to. I wasn't the greatest student in the world. I got sidetracked and preoccupied pretty easily, and he wanted to give me an incentive to do really well. So he told me if I got all B's in 6th grade, I could either get a golf cart or a computer. And I wanted that golf cart, or the go-kart rather. I wanted that go-kart really, really bad. And time went on and I got the grades that I needed. And that was about the time the computers were just barely kind of getting their start. Windows 95 had just came out, and it was kind of an enticing offer. And so I started looking at it more and decided, let me try this computer thing and see what happens. And my dad can attest to the change that it made in me. I was not a morning person whatsoever. I would go sleep through nuclear bombs and everything else. And he will tell the stories to this day how 4 o'clock in the morning I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and wanted to go play on that computer. And I'll tell you, I got really good at breaking them, and my dad got really good at backing his data up because I broke the computer way more times than I needed to, but that's how I learned to fix it, because I had to fix it before Dad got home.
That's how you learn to fix to do anything well is you fix it, you have to do better. I love that story. So before we came on live, you guys, we were talking about this. I said, well, why are you into it, And he goes, I picked a go-kart over a computer. I was like, well, that's passion. That's someone who knows, and loves what they do, or at least you really focus in on and understand it.
Yeah.
And in 6th grade, so you were like 12 or something like that, or
whatever,
right? Whatever age you were.
Probably 12, 13.
Yeah,
sounds
so
about right.
we're getting closer to, and I'm okay with age. I'm 43, and so we're getting closer to 20 years that you've
just turned 38 a few days ago.
I don't know. I think we get better. That's what I do. I get better as I get older. That's what I help my clients with, So age to me is awesome. You do get better. And so you've got 20 years about under your belt with this. Why don't you tell everybody then, Scott, what Reno Computer Services is all about? Like, what do you guys actually do?
Yeah, so it's pretty hard to quantify, to be completely honest. But if you think of anything that's technology related in your business, I kind of equate it to, if it has an electron flowing through it and it's not a power outlet, that's generally what we work with. So our business is really revolved around the actual IT side. So not so much the printers and the security cameras and the alarm systems and the voice over IP phone systems and things like that, but the whole network that all that stuff runs on. And so that involves all the computers, the servers, the network equipment like routers and switches and access points and all that, those techie things that most people don't know what they are. They've just got blinky lights on them, and that's what we specialize in.
So I worked for doctor's offices and, my younger years, 18, running a doctor's office in Tahoe. And so if I was at that office right now, what you would do is you wouldn't go in and help me with the printers. You would help me with the actual IT portion, like if we had problems with it. Like
at the end of the day, if your main contact with us is usually pick up the phone and you call us when something's wrong with the computer. It can be a printer problem. We just don't sell the printers themselves, but all the printers live on the network. So if there's a printer problem, a lot of times we troubleshoot the network and everything first, because that's where the troubleshooters from the printer company are just going to say it's their fault, not ours. So we go through all the effort to say, no, okay, it's not our problem. Now you call the printer folks. And we like to get in the middle of that conversation as well. Nobody likes calling tech support. And a lot of times they run you through a lot of stuff that is not necessary or things that we've already done. And not only that, they're talking a language that you don't understand. So another big part of what we do is we get on the phone with the vendors to assist with that, because we can talk the language, and honestly, we can cut the BS off before they start. And that's really, really important, because they'll try to say, oh, it's over here. And you go, no, it's not over there. I know it's not over there. It's over here. I just need you to fix it.
That's time consuming.
It's time consuming, and it's a big time saver for us and the client. And it's easier for everybody.
So Scott, if somebody was unfamiliar with computer systems or what actually to buy, let's say that they have been in business for a while, doctor's office, or, have been in business, but then they may need a new system. They've been thinking about it for a while. Like, what would you do? Like, how would you, you come in and tell me about that.
It's usually how our relationships start, since we focus more on the smaller side of business, the 5 to 30 employee range. That's our specialty. A lot of times we get called when there is either a project that needs to be done or there's already a problem. So we take the case you're talking about of, we need a new computer or something like that. Then we set up a consult meeting where I walk in and we can talk about what we do, how we do it, why we do it the way we do. And then you can explain to me what you want upgraded or fixed or whatever the case may be. Chances are I'm going to have a lot of recommendations on top of that you're not thinking about. And that's the whole point of the meeting. We call it kind of an exploratory meeting for that reason, because you think you want a new computer, but we explain there's a lot more to it than just a computer at the end of the day. So.
Completely. Thank you, Natalie, for the heart. Natalie is a fantastic woman. She's in Canada. Cool. Otherwise, so I would say, hey, you guys, let's, set up a meeting. But, so Scott was talking about all of these things that he does and the company does. And it's a little confusing for the regular person, right? But really, we want to make this simple for you to understand. So Scott goes in. He helps you with your IT needs.
Yep. He
takes that task so you don't have to worry about the time, speaks the language, talks to the vendors. Mm-hmm. Now, if I was in the office and I needed new computers, like, would you know how to do that? I mean, would you recommend, tell me about that part?
Yeah, we usually source the computers. We get business class machines. They're kind of a fancy way of saying a little bit higher end machines. You're not going to find these at Best Buy or any of the big box stores in town. The big difference is they're built to a higher standard. A lot of them have longer warranties on them. And they're just built to be used for a business, like for a consistent shift every day. So they're just designed to run a little bit better. If you've all had experiences with less expensive big box store computers, it runs great for a year or so, and then it turns into a clunker, and you need to get a new one. Well, the machines we sell don't do that. They run very consistently for a number of years. Usually 3 to 5 is what we look at. And then we maintain the machine through the whole life cycle of that. So if anything needs to be done, we can run through the warranty process with it, or replace a component that needs to be replaced, or whatever the case may be.
And this is what I really like about your business. And what I like about his business is why I'm spotlighting is that they're not going to go with the cheapest,
No.
And your quality. I mean, I've learned, it's all about quality. Invest in yourself, invest in your business.
Yep.
It pays off.
Quality is cheaper in the long run than cheap. And for that very reason that I mentioned, you buy a $300 computer at one of the stores, and like I say, it works fine for a little while. The guy that sold it to you probably pointed you in a direction and said, okay, here, pick this one, and then you take it back and you plug it in, and it works. It works. But that 2 to 3 to 4 year mark, it's not running very well. It hasn't been maintained. So you end up wasting time trying to troubleshoot things, and you're out there, clicking away on Google trying to find solutions, and then you make the problem worse. And then somebody like me has to come in there and unravel what you did just to fix the problem that you had that really honestly was a 15-minute fix.
So just buy quality, go with a quality consultants and business and partner, really.
Absolutely.
We were talking about how you run your business.
Yes.
And so do you want to share a little bit of it?
Yeah, partners, actually, you kind of struck a word there with that partner word. I really see myself as a partner with my clients. And it's really from start to finish. And like I said, we don't necessarily sell printers and VoIP phone systems and camera systems and all that, but we work with people that do. And because all that stuff touches our network, and I've been in the industry long enough, I know how to navigate those processes to get you steered in the right direction and get you what you need. And then, of course, it works on our network, and we can kind of help maintain it from there and be the middleman like we were talking about. But it's really bigger than that. If you have questions about scaling your business, and say you're ready to open a second store or a second office somewhere, what does that look like? What technology needs are there? Having those conversations well ahead of time, instead of calling, okay, well, I opened another office, can you set it up? And then we have to have conversations like, well, no, not really, because you don't have the infrastructure. So I like to be a partner from start to finish in every aspect of what makes a business tick. And even if you may not think it revolves around technology, in some way it usually does. A new hire, adding expanding into another suite, moving across the hallway, moving across town, moving across the country. It doesn't really matter. If you're making changes in your business, the technology has to change with it. And
this is why you go to the expert. I wasn't even thinking about a new hire or anything like that.
Yeah,
so,
it's big.
I mean, just save yourself time, and in the long run, of course, money. And Ken, thank you so much for joining. He's just said it's about the value of money. Cheap isn't always cheap. And
it's rarely cheap, especially in this industry.
Yeah, in every industry. You guys can hear my animals, so thank you for, you know that I love my animals and people, and so you'll hear Snowflake in the background jingling everywhere, and Bubba's back there chewing his bone. This is it's totally festive. We've got our Christmas decorations in the background. So I do want to point out, one of the things, sorry about that, I feel like we're at the Sierra Zoological Park at this moment. One of the things I do want to point out, Scott, is that when I was talking with Scott earlier, even before today, and with Bill, they talked about how they work with other people in the industry as well. So if they can't help you, or you're not in their exact area of expertise, what do you do in that?
I've got a number of people in my wheelhouse that I refer stuff out to. So if for some reason your business needs don't fit what we offer, either you're too big or too small or not quite ready for what we offer, something like that. We have a number of different companies and people that we refer out to in the community. They're all local. They have their own businesses. It just depends on what your needs are. We'll refer you to the right spot. So for example, if you're a residential user, I don't do much in the residential space these days, but I have a phenomenal person that does. So, I mean, feel free to give us a call for really any of your needs. And if we aren't going to help you, we'll send you in the right direction.
Integrity and genuine. I love it. I mean, that's why when I met Scott, you know, we just met recently. You know, I've been talking mostly with Bill. And so when I met Scott, but I go off of my intuition, and there's a lot of things that I do. I mean, I'm a coach. So after speaking with him, though, I went, okay, I definitely want to spotlight you. And then anybody else who I talk with locally, you know, business owners. So why don't we, so we have a little bit of time here. Do you want to talk about, so I know a big part of what you do is to protect people from viruses and malware and other things like that. So why don't you share?
Our biggest focus is the security side, and that's getting more and more prevalent. A big misnomer is my business is too small, nobody wants anything from me, but it's actually further from the truth. Because a small business usually has a lot less protection, so you're a really easy target. And they may not want anything particularly from you and your business, but they use your business and your network system as a conduit to get other things that they want. So it puts you in the middle of some really bad things. And then, of course, they can use things like ransomware and things like that to just make your life not fun at all.
So why don't you, I did not know what ransomware was before I talked with Scott at Glory Cloud that other day. So why don't you tell everybody, and then, you know, let them know about what you did at your BNI.
Yeah. So ransomware it's a relatively new malware type attack that they're using. 7-8 years ago, you get a virus, you have somebody come in, they pull the virus off, and you move on with your life. Then came ransomware, and what ransomware does is they run a program that basically encrypts all of your stuff. It makes your data completely unusable by you until you get a password to unlock that data. And it's called ransomware because they hold your data for ransom. They say, give me $600 and I'll give you the code to unlock your data. And as you scale with data, that would, $600 would be super cheap and easy for a business, but they of course scale it toward what the business can afford. So ransoms can reach millions or tens of millions of dollars, depending on the size of your business.
That's crazy.
And then, so that's one aspect of it. That's been happening for probably the last 6 or 7 years now. And then it's evolved even more now to a much more terrifying level, especially for businesses like law firms and doctors' offices and people that handle medical records and sensitive information. They call it personally identifiable information or personal health information, EPHI. And that data, if it leaves your network and gets somewhere where it's not supposed to be, you're liable for that data. It doesn't matter what happened, who touched it, how it happened, you are liable for that data. And if that data gets out where it doesn't belong, you have to go through all sorts of hoops and notify the people and get an audit done, and it's ugly. So the new strains of ransomware actually exfiltrate the data, and then they hold your data ransom. So, the first ransomware I talked about, you give them money, they'll give you your data back. Or if you have backups, that's the best case. You just restore the backup and you're good to go. But if they take your data and now they're holding it out here saying, well, we're going to release this if you don't pay us, there's not much you can do about that. So it's really, really important to stop this stuff before it happens.
Yeah, that's why you want the expert.
There's no going back.
So Scott, why don't you, with ransomware, what really shocked me too was that you don't even know if it's on your computer.
You do once it happens, but a lot of times the ransomware is the last step. So somebody gets access to your system somehow. And I did a demo of this in one of my networking groups, a BNI group, a few months back. And just showed how easy this is. And all of this stuff, like all it takes is for you to open an email attachment, and if something were to slip in the system and get by whatever safeguards you have, you don't know it's there. You click on something, it gives you an error message and you move on. You don't think anything happened. But there's a back door basically created there for somebody to be able to control that machine. And with that, they can do anything. They can turn on your webcam and watch what you're doing. They can steal your data. They can run commands against the machine. They can steal data. They can do whatever they want. So usually what they do is they get in, they do all their sniffing and poking and figure out if they can spread even further through the network and do a lot of the stuff. And once they hit kind of the end of their rope of all the things that they've already wanted to do, then they hit you with the ransomware. And then that's your indication that, oh, I've got this ransomware. You think it just happened. But really, that's the tail end of this whole problem. It's terrifying.
So what Scott was telling me too was at his BNI, which those of you who don't know what a BNI is, the networking group. He set up a couple of computers, and then you showed people how the camera was on, or they couldn't even tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the light wasn't on or anything? Or?
It's hard to disable the lights because a lot of times that's hardware related now. So you can't disable the light, but you can still control the camera.
If you're not really paying
You can
attention.
take pictures with it. The pictures don't usually make the light come on. So you just take a number of pictures.
That is not. Okay, so let's talk about, let's talk about how you help people with that. Like, why are you the expert that I, as a business owner, want to go to?
Yeah, because I've got a lot of sleepless nights under my belt thinking about all this stuff. I've been through a lot of different scenarios of things happening and people calling me and saying, something has happened, and trying to reverse engineer it, figure out how it happened. And I do my own research and trying to, thinking about, okay, what are all these avenues that people can use to get in? The big one right now is email. So we've been focusing very heavily on protecting email and different mechanisms there. The other avenue is like things that you click on the internet. So if you're Googling for something or searching for something, and you click a link that takes you to a bad website, maybe you're looking for a recipe, or a big one is games. People are trying to download free games, and that's a big way to get yourself in trouble. So just clicking on things. So another protection we try to put in place is basically what we call content blockers or internet filtering. So if you land on a site that's known bad, it'll just block it so you can't get infected by whatever's there. So really, it's a lot about prevention on the front side, trying to prevent somebody from even having the ability to get infected in the first place. The next layer down from that is a really good antivirus software. There's a few different technologies we use, some smarter than others. So if you do manage to get yourself to a site or click on an email that you shouldn't be clicking on or doing anything with, the antivirus should stop that. And if it does, then no harm, no foul. You've learned a lesson, hopefully. And then the next step back from that is keeping all of the systems up to date. Up to date systems is the biggest thing you can do on your own to make sure that you stay protected. Because Windows updates come out, Mac updates come out, Adobe updates, Office updates. They come out for a reason, and a lot of times it's security related. They patch some security hole that was found that somebody can use to exploit it in a way that wasn't supposed to be designed to be used. So keeping everything up to date is absolutely critical.
Expert.
Yeah.
Sleepless nights. You picked a computer over a go-kart.
That's right.
Right.
Pick a computer over a go-kart.
So, and Ken was here talking about, he says, I agree with Scott on this. Anyone who has a business should bring someone like Scott in to make sure their systems are secure. Yeah. You do all of everything up front. And we were talking about partnership, and it's about communication. So
Absolutely.
Whatever your needs are, you communicate, and it could be something that you weren't even sure that is IT related.
Exactly.
And then we go to the integrity and being genuine. If you can't help someone, you're going to point them in the right direction.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
we try to meet with our clients fairly regularly. Depending on your business and your needs, it's anywhere between every 3 to 6 months. We sit down and have a global conversation, and through that time, where we conduct our own routine audits, and we do what we call alignment. It's kind of like going to a chiropractor for your IT. Things are changing. The world of IT is a zigzag. It's always changing. Something comes out, something happens. We have to adjust our processes. So what we do is we continually go through the environments and we realign. So it's like, okay, well, this change needs to happen over here. Let's kick that into place and make sure that it's up to date and doing what it's supposed to. Again, just the set it, forget it mentality of IT. When once you get everything secure, it's not going to stay that way for long. It always takes adjustment and maintenance and alignment. That's why we call it alignment, because it's a good image for going to a chiropractor or something.
I mean, and we are all working with technology today. I mean, especially right now,
Exactly.
Everybody is on technology. And if you have a business, especially like we were talking about, lawyers, dentists, doctors' offices, all of those offices are running essentially. And you all use computer systems and need an expert like Scott, who is passionate and very reachable and gives first-class service. We were talking about, he and I met, over the phone on Sunday. Like those of you, I have meetings with people on Sundays and Saturdays, but I had sent Scott a message on Christmas because it was just a couple of days, and I said, hey, you want to meet on Sunday? So, it is important to have those boundaries and those business boundaries and whatnot. But, Scott and I, we're passionate about what we do.
100%.
And those of you know, if I can't make it happen, if it's not going to happen, I'll say no and whatnot. But you want someone like Scott on your team to help you, and so that you could really focus on your business. Did we? We're going to wrap it up here, but I want to make sure we covered everything. Besides, pointing everybody in your direction.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. Bottom line is, especially if you're in an industry that touches any sort of medical record. I had this debate not too long ago with somebody. They said, "Oh, I'm not a doctor. I don't have to follow HIPAA." So HIPAA is a law that basically dictates how you handle people's medical information. They said, "Well, I'm not a doctor. I don't have to be HIPAA compliant." And if you touch medical records or have the capacity to touch medical records, you need to be HIPAA compliant. So that involves me as well. I'm not a doctor and I don't touch medical records, but I touch the systems that house medical records. So I have to be HIPAA compliant. So keep that in mind. It's really important to just keep safe and keep yourself out of trouble.
Yeah. And I can't even imagine someone trying to hold my stuff for ransom.
Yeah, it's freaky. It's not a good feeling.
You just want to have the protection. Just hire the expert. Yeah. Invest in yourself.
Unfortunately, once you get to that point, it's too late. If you call me and say, "Hey, all my stuff, I've got a message saying my stuff is held for ransom. Can you come help me?" I said, "I can come try. There are a few tricks I can try to do, but most of the time, once you've hit that point, it's too late. So protect yourself ahead of time. It's the prevention is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure or something like that.
Yeah. So contact Scott today. Those of you who are local, and then do you serve Reno, Carson, what area?
Yeah, Reno, Carson, Fernley. We've actually got a couple clients up in Susanville. Most of what we do, about 90% of what we do is remote. We don't have to go on site very often. The only problem is if we do need to go on site, we either need to have somebody that we can call to be able to come on site and be our boots on the ground, as we call it, or we need to drive there. So if there's some massive outage in Susanville, for example, you've got to expect a couple-hour wait while we drive out there.
Right, because Susanville, for those of you who don't know, it's about an hour and a half?
About an hour and a half. Yeah, Winnemucca, I've got a client with a branch office in Winnemucca. That's a fun one. That's 4 hours.
Okay. Right. So, but he's on it. So, okay, so why don't you tell everybody, I put in the information, you guys can see where to find Scott. And I just let me read what Ken says here. Thanks for the Scott. The internet is a necessity in business, and as such, someone like you is also a necessity.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell everybody how to get hold of you?
Yeah, Reno Computer Services is the company name, itrcs.com or renocomputerservices.com, but I'm changing to the shorter one because I'm tired of typing renocomputerservices.com. So IT as an information technology, and then RCS for Reno Computer Services, itrcs.com. And phone number 775-737-4400. One more time, that's 775-737-4400, and you get to talk to the lovely Bonnie, who will make you feel warm and fuzzy.
That's Bonnie's your go-to person. You were talking about her. She knows how to navigate.
She is, yes. She's absolutely amazing.
So
she keeps the rudder on my ship, as I say.
Awesome.
Without her, I go in circles and don't know what to do.
Yeah, you need direction. You need help. Everybody needs their experts. Yeah. So get a hold of Scott. You can go to website, call the office. He's reachable and very flexible, and he'll give you first-class service. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for joining.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on.